Please welcome this evening's guest moderator from Billboard and RollingStone.com, Mike Ayers, and tonight's guests, Tom Berninger and Matt Berninger.
Hi, welcome. This is Tom, Matt from the National. Thanks for coming out. I don't know if anybody has seen the film yet. It's out today on video on demand, iTunes, and in theaters. It's called Mistaken for Strangers, and it's really great. It's a really, really wonderful film, and it's nothing like any sort of band film you've really ever seen. I fell in love with it within the first 10 minutes of watching it. I was really enthralled. So let's get into it. The film, besides me loving it, the film also has been getting really great reviews. But you all lived it. What goes through your mind when you watch back on it now?
Well, I honestly, I can't believe it's actually coming out today. Personally, I never thought the band would let me release it.
Neither did we.
And no, it's. I look back on it with some fond memories and some painful memories. Not everything was very much fun, and there's some stuff in it that was pretty embarrassing. But I'm glad it's over.
Great endorsement. You'll be glad it's over.
The whole tour. I love the movie.
Okay, Matt, what about you?
I'm really happy with the thing. I'm really proud of Tom and yeah. I mean, it was not a movie that we thought there would be a movie like this about our band, and it's not exactly about our band, which I think is everybody in the band is kind of happy about that. I mean, not directly, but indirectly, I think it's the right movie for us, and I think it turned into something more interesting than a band movie, and I think that's kind of what, if there was going to be something, we wanted it to be something like that, and so we were worried about what Tom was doing, especially after we knew all the stuff that he was around for, and just the unflattering stuff. But when the movie started to become, we heard that Tom was becoming more the central part of the movie. I think that's when we realized that it was going to be more interesting. So yeah.
I mean, it seems like the camera is on all the time. How much footage did you collect through those? You were on what, 8 months? 8 months tour?
Yeah. Until I was fired. Yeah, I was on for
Right.
8 months, around 8.5 months, and I collected almost close to 200 hours of footage. Like 50 hours of that was simply just concert footage. But one of the reasons why I was angry for getting fired, other than the fact that I didn't have a job again, that I had to face all this footage, all this nightmare footage of the band, and I had no real story. I had no real I didn't know what I was going to do with it. So I was frightened. I was scared. I was even scared to look at whatever I had.
I mean, I believe the original intention was he was going to come on tour, help out with roadie duties, assistant tour manager, and then bring the camera along and maybe shoot some footage for the National's website, maybe a little web short if it worked out. I mean, they got 200 hours. You don't need 200 hours, obviously, for a web short for the National's website. But in the end, it kind of was a nice little accident that he was always kind of obsessively filming, and some of the parts are really uncomfortable to watch, and he has the camera on, and it's, as a viewer, as a fan, as just someone interested in human beings, it's great.
Well, are you talking what's uncomfortable? The nudes and the naked drummer?
Naked drummers, sometimes are uncomfortable, but no, there's a scene where Matt comes off stage and he's very upset with the band's performance, and Tom is filming him about some things and asking him some things, and Matt doesn't want to. He's just really, this is his job. His job is to make us, just fall in love with his music on stage, and he didn't feel like he did a good job. And
it happens a lot, but
that was just one of the uncomfortable scenes. But I'm just like, don't stop rolling. But he's like, stop rolling the camera.
Well, I I felt like, in a weird way, that like I wanted to use their fame to boost my reel, but I was certainly not, the problem was I wasn't a documentarian to make a proper rock doc about the National. I'm not even a real fan of the band, but it's true. I mean, but in some ways that created the best story. I really didn't. I didn't really feel like any of their music was too precious to make fun of, or the band was too precious to make fun of. And I knew that I first, for a long time, I thought I couldn't get fired because I was a brother of the lead singer, and I thought I was kind of, I had like a
Touchable.
Yeah, I was untouchable slightly, and I think I got away with that for 8 months, but then I eventually did get fired, and I realized you also agreed with the firing.
Yeah, you had to get fired. He was a terrible roadie. He was hired as assistant tour manager, and that's a really, really hard job. And he was not very good at that. You weren't. No, you weren't. But he had all this footage that he was also collecting while he was neglecting that job, which I encouraged him to bring the camera, but. Yes, I'm actually really happy that, and I think you should be happy that you got fired, because then you're able to go and do some soul searching and then figure out this weird movies. Which, yeah. So I think it worked out good for you, don't you?
Yes, it did. But it still hurts when you get fired.
It always
you still take
hurts.
it personally.
Of course. Well, let's look at a clip real quick that kind of outlines what the duties are for an assistant tour manager, and it gives you a little flavor of the way Tom approached his job.
I do mean that, though. When you do die, it's me.
Good luck.
Yeah. It's basically how when Bon Scott died in AC/DC, that AC/DC totally changed gears when Brian Johnson came on board. So.
I have no plans to do that.
Basically, Natural is going to be lyrics of fast cars and fast women.
Less death talk.
Okay.
What kind of becomes apparent really early on in the film, and you kind of got a hint at it there, you kind of start falling in love with this guy. And, going into it, you think you're watching, a film about the National, and suddenly it becomes a film all about Tom, and I don't know, he becomes this. It's a very humanizing portrait of a person who is thrown into a job that he might not know how to do, which a lot of us probably have experience doing. This one just happens to be in Europe with a very large rock band, and I don't know. For me, I really started to relate immediately to him. I don't know. The film also becomes really, as you can probably tell, a lot about their relationship. Their relationship. I don't know. What do you guys think about your relationship through this period, that experience?
Well, I mean, for me, he took me on tour when I was in between jobs. Yeah, and I was living at home, and through this movie, and I think a lot of my friends gave me encouragement to put a lot of the embarrassing stuff, because I was having a hard time. I was in my late 20s, and I had still I was going through. I don't know. I wasn't satisfied with how I was feeling about myself, and I suffered from depression, but I think everybody suffers from depression in some way. But I felt creatively lost. I just felt that I kept comparing myself to others at this time. I was comparing myself to my brother, not in a jealous way, but just constantly thinking that it seemed like my brother made all the right decisions in life, and I've been making kind of the wrong decisions in life. And he went down, he took the road, he took the, I veered off the highway, and I got stuck in some awful town. And I don't know if that makes much sense, but, I was lost. And I think there's a lot of people in the late 20s, early 30s that are lost. And slowly that the movie, became more about me trying, just trying to find a voice, trying to find happiness and being okay with who I am. I just stopped trying to be somebody I'm not.
I mean, I think the whole thing, I wanted him to come mostly because I missed him, because I went off to college when he was a little kid, and I'm 9 years older, and I also wanted him to see Europe. I wanted him to get out of this rut that I could tell that he was in, and mostly it was just to spend time together. But then the troubles that happened on tour with his job, and then what kind of started out is another, like a failure a little bit. I think when things went badly there, and then he had to go. I invited him to move in to my house in Brooklyn with my wife and daughter and I, so he could make something out of all this 200 hours of footage that he'd collected, and most of it was unusable and not good, documentary footage. But somehow, because of that, he was able to sort of look at himself
not totally unusable.
No, some of it was good. But then, so he stitched together a very different story than he planned to do, and very different than we expected, and it turned into something, like I said, much more interesting. And I think the point of the whole thing is, like, I think he started figuring out that failure is a part of success. You fail and fail and fail until occasionally you don't fail, and it's like a failure. All these times you don't succeed are in a weird way a step forwards nonetheless. And I think, and then also I started to understand him as a very different person than me, and so I stopped trying to make him more like me, or he had a whole different approach to life, and a whole different way that he saw the world and the universe and himself. And I think I started just appreciating him for who he was, instead of, and so our relationship evolved.
We also had incredible fights too.
Yeah,
I guess you started appreciating me, but like it wasn't easy. It was a really hard movie to make, and
it ended up being about family. And I think that sometimes with family, you're meanest, to the people that you are closest to, and because you care so much, and the stakes are just higher. And so a lot of that, especially when he moved in with us and trying to figure out this movie, and then my wife was helping him to edit, and it got really toxic at sometimes. But I think all that led to a pretty good portrait of what it's like just to be in the world and full of insecurities, and just trying to find your footing in conflict in family and stuff. So
I also just started freaking out, because I just knew that I was blowing a huge opportunity to make something interesting, or make something that people might watch, like at least fans of the band would watch. And I didn't have anything, and I just knew that I was kind of going through this weird crisis, and with finishing this movie, and that's why I kept the camera rolling, and and there, I shot everything of me just crying, and because I thought this is part of the movie, and
there's only a little bit of crying in the movie,
but like quote unquote good movies like have crying, and and like, so like here
sure
I'm,
they do.
So I felt like I was gonna cry, and so I filmed it, and that became the movie itself in a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, one of the questions, and Tom raised it a few moments ago, that we all probably have people around us that are just doing better than us for one reason or the other, and Tom he questions that during the film. And what did Matt do to become this musician that thousands and thousands, sometimes tens of thousands of people are showing up to and screaming their love for? And what did I do that led to something different? And is that something I really want? I found that part of this film very, very fascinating, and also very relatable as well. And we can kind of get into that in this next clip, especially what they were just talking about.
I didn't know you were gonna show all that crying stuff. I hate watching myself.
All good movies have crying.
I know, but like I didn't know I was gonna be right next to it.
You're
Yeah,
making
right
everybody
next to
else
it.
watch it. You should be able to watch it.
I have one more thought, and then we'll open it up to the floor. You do get a lot of great footage of the band. If you do like this band, you will get a nice insight into how they operate, what it's like to be a touring band, and right now, how hard you have to work. They're easily one of the hardest working bands out there right now. There's a reason why people keep coming, buying their records. They're really great live. And I was speaking to him a few weeks ago for an article I was writing, and I was asking about new material. Do they have any new material? Because I would like new material. And Matt said, well, no, that's not how we operate. Right now, we're really, really focused on our live show, and that is what is so important to us. So, Matt, I was just wanting to wonder why the live shows become so important over the years to the band.
I mean, it's how we found an audience. I mean, we didn't have any radio. We never really had any radio songs. We never got any like profiles in magazines. The first 8 years of our career, or whatever. And so the way we found an audience is we just gigged a lot. We toured a lot and played for empty places for many years, and that's what people started talking about us, to their friends and bringing their friends to shows. And so we know that's how we got where we are after we've been a band for 15 years now. And so now there's so many people are coming to see us. We don't take it for granted. We know that people are paying $50 per ticket, and a lot of times people, kids who save up and only go to see 1 or 2 rock shows a year, and they're picking us. And like if we don't deliver, we feel terrible, and we should. I mean, it's like we're, and so for getting up there and leaving it all on the stage and doing a great show is really important. We never phone it in. But that being said, sometimes shows just go really badly and you can't connect, and so a lot of that happened on this tour. Tom was there for some of the worst nights, and he thought those shows were the most fun when everything would go bad.
Well, I mean, quite honestly, that was, I learned. I saw if there's anything that I got from my brother watching him do what he does every single night is that even for they would have good shows and bad shows, and the bad shows are the most interesting for me to see, because not only it was kind of fun to revel in their public misery for me, but also the fact that the next day they have to do it all over again. That's and they have to like act like that never happened, and then they have to act like rock stars again, and that's really hard. I mean, there were some really embarrassing, I thought for you, very embarrassing moments. I mean, and
I didn't think it was that bad. Now
well,
I'm starting to.
But also, and as you said, like my brother and the band, even though I don't listen to them, their career have been inspirational for me for the fact that they've worked so hard to get where they are, and it never happened overnight. And when things were looking really bad for me in this movie, like the whole movie itself was looking very bad, I just kept working on it, and kind of his encouragement just kept working on it and working on it and working on it, and finding the story and figuring it out. And really, that's like they became who they are is because they just never gave up.
All right, let's open up for questions.
Where's the movie showing in New York?
The IFC. Yeah.
I might have missed that. Sorry if I did.
No. IFC tonight. It's in 15 cities, but it's on iTunes and demand starting today. It's in Chicago. There's about 15. It's on the website. But yeah, we didn't expect it to actually be a theatrical release, but we got really lucky. So, yeah.
Why not record albums and then perform them live that way, so at least you can get a recorded version and then also record your live performances as well and release them, since you feel that those are probably your best presentations of your
point.
band?
That's a good question. I don't know. I think actually the Fugazi would do that. The band Fugazi, they would tour and tour and tour, and then they would release a record after their tour. And maybe we should, but I mean, it's true. It's we writing a record for us is a very different thing than performing it live. Like we write records and we write songs and we're like in our bedrooms and we're in this weird headspace, a very private headspace, and then going on tour is a whole different thing where taking these things that were these kind of intimate, sort of introspective things of the songwriting process, and then putting them on stage as a big performance in a show. The songs change and evolve and become something very different. And I mean, putting out like a live record would be a very different kind of record. We haven't done it yet, mostly just because we just haven't figured out how to do it right yet.
Right. I understand the process of developing a song. It changes through time as your band gets used to playing their parts, and every night might be a little bit different. But with a live performance, at let's say a year's tour, you guys have got it beyond tight now.
Yeah.
And maybe record just the live performance on the last few. Record all the last 5 shows, and then just pick the song from the best of those performances.
I think the biggest reason was when we're done with a tour, we all sort of hate each other in very natural ways, and nothing too bad. But and that happens in this movie a lot. You see by the end, we're beat, and we all just kind of disappear and go off into our corners until we start the new songs and new ideas start to percolate. But no, it's a weird process of a studio and recording, and we're trying to write songs, and then you go out on the road, and it's a really strange. Maybe it is backwards. I mean, like I said, Fugazi did it the other way, and maybe we'll try that this time. I don't know, but good question. Sorry.
Hi, Tom.
Hi.
So, question: at what point during the tour did you finally figure out that, hey, I want to make this into a movie? And what were your challenges actually getting the resources together to actually make that happen? Like, was there anything that was just like, oh my God, how am I going to figure this part out? What was that challenge?
Well, the movie definitely came together in the editing room, but I figured out it was going to be a real movie in the editing room. But I think
when he says editing room, he's talking about my daughter's room when he lived at.
Yes, just watch the movie. No, but I think there was a moment on tour when I filmed the guys on the band bus, and they were all sleeping. And because if you're ever lucky enough to get on a band bus, the bunks where they sleep look like little coffins. They're all very they have little curtains, and it's all like mahogany wood. It looks like it's like a coffin. And I thought that looked cool. And because I like horror movies and like heavy metal, and I thought I kind of wanted in a way to have them all sleeping like they're dead, and I wanted to kind of in a way kill the band off if I could, in kind of visually, and so at that point in time I kind of thought, this is like, I've never seen a shot like this before, like celebrities or even like rock stars like Bono, and not that my brother's Bono, but but I'd never seen them.
They know that, Tom.
I know, but like just sleeping, like in a very natural, like drooling or whatever. And I wanted to find that. I wanted to capture that. And I knew once I did that, I knew that I might have something cool in there. I don't know how I would use it, but I knew that only I, as a brother of the band, could actually capture something like that. As far as technically putting it together, it was like really, really, really hard, and I knew it was gonna be hard. Because I only had one camera. There was no second camera that I can cut to, like a reaction, or another person like looking, It was, and so this movie is very, very lo-fi, which is incredible. And I just feel great that people don't really care about that, because I do in a way. I mean, I'm not a cinematographer, and it's just a very lo-fi movie, and the fact that people are still responding so well to it, because a lot of people don't like black and white movies, don't like, if it looks like shot on a video camera, they just like kind of toss it away. But so it was technically really hard, because I had to like make it move and make it snappy, and I had help. I mean, I had help from his wife, Corinne Besser, who was a fiction editor at The New Yorker, she sat behind me, and we created a lot of little scenes. And in the movie, you see a big wall of ideas, like Post-it notes ideas. And really, we cut this thing for almost a year and a half, 2 years, because it was only me for most of that. And it was just really, really difficult to find the footage that works. And to be brutally honest, we took so many things out of context to make a good movie. And that's how a lot of docs are made. I mean, even we knew we weren't making a social documentary. You know, we weren't like making a movie about Iraq or something like that. So we're a little looser with the comedy, I guess. So, but we cut on Final Cut 7 because I that's what I started on 4 years ago, and so, but it was technically really, really hard, but somehow we got it to work. You know, is that what you were kind of saying? Yeah.
Hi guys, I've got a two-part question if you don't mind. First of all, is Matt, in regards to when that tour ended, who instigated the production itself? Like when you got home from the tour, was Tom, were you already diving headfirst into the film and the editing, or was Matt kind of like, you got some stuff here, let's get this done?
You moved in after you got fired, and I was still touring.
I shot a little bit of our parents.
Oh, yeah,
I asked my mom and dad a lot of questions about me and Matt and put them right on the spot because I wanted to get down and like we're 9 years different, so I was not planned basically, and
You're surprised.
But after that I kind of I got started, and it just took forever. I mean, I didn't really take very good logging notes, and I just had a mountain of footage and trying to find the story in there was very, very difficult.
Weird way, the movie is kind of a lesson in how not to make a movie, but I think the main thing is that there's just like persistence and patience and you. I mean, you almost gave up many times, and like just like you were just you didn't have anything. You didn't think it was going to come together, and everybody does. I think like we've been that way a million times with our band, thinking it's not going to work. Or I think what happened though is you just would you walk away from it, then you would come back, and it took a year and a half for them to
we had
figure
a
out.
motto in the editing room, your daughter's playroom, but we say everything is bad until it's good, and it really is, everything is bad until it's good, and then it could take a year. And then finally, honestly...
Then at the end of that year, it took 6 more months.
Well, then we finally got like this idea, this kind of arc, and like this could be an interesting movie. It's okay. It's like it's nowhere near polished or nowhere near watchable, but we have something here, But it was for a year. It was just simply taking... Remember, like this time, me running down a hall, like, why don't we take this, put this here, And we kind of put it together like a puzzle. And with any documentary filmmaking, it's you write the script kind of afterwards, and this was just a fly on the wall, band documentary, and we kind of write the script afterwards. And the movie wasn't finished. I was going through a really tough time because I thought I was blowing my opportunity. I really wanted, I was 31 years old, and I just had to make something, and I had to just go put all the cards on the table. I don't know what kind of analogy I'm trying to think, but I just had to roll the dice, and eventually, after a lot of hard work, after a while, that piece of crap that I had, started to turn and had a little bit of structure, and then we just took forever and a long time, just working every single day to make it a little bit better and a little bit better and a little bit better. That's awesome.
The second part was then directly at you, Tom, is the film itself last year traveled around a bit on the film festival circuit. I work down in Australia at the Sydney Film Festival and the Brisbane Film Festival, both of which the film played at last year. Matt's obviously used to touring, but have you been touring around? Because I know it did a lot of the cities here in America. And
yeah,
have you been touring a bit?
That's exactly what I've been doing for the past year. It's been awesome. I am really lucky.
I was his assistant tour manager, and I got fired because I was drinking too much the whole time.
Yeah.
That's
yelling
the,
at me.
That's the
too much.
sequel.
So I want to know, why did you guys pick this song, "Mistaken for Strangers," to be the title of the documentary?
Why that name be the name of the documentary?
Yeah.
The truth is, up until the very end, you didn't have a name, and it was honestly the night before the press release about it being in Tribeca and opening the Tribeca Film Festival went out. And Tribeca, they were like, listen, at that point we were calling it for those about to weep.
Yeah,
and then
there was a play on the AC/DC album for those about to rock, but since I'm doing about the National, I added, instead of rock, weep. And I had
another name was Summer Love and Torture Party.
Yeah,
which is another lyric. But it was actually a friend of ours who just said to us at the last minute, "Is like, well, why don't you just call it Mistaken for Strangers, because that's one of our songs." And it turned out it's a really fitting title. So the title was the very last thing that the very last piece of the puzzle that fell into place for him. So thank you, our friend Willing, who gave us that title. But.
Hi, Tom. Hi, Matt. How's it going?
Thanks.
How's it going?
I saw the movie last year in D.C. It was great.
Well, I was there.
Yeah, I remember that, actually. It was cool.
Smithsonian.
Yeah.
Dude, I don't think it's going to stay at the Smithsonian.
I wish it did.
Hopefully.
It was a good, lovely movie. Great.
Part of their archives.
How was it meeting the president?
That was, well, Tom didn't get to meet him, which you see in the movie. You see Tom very disappointed. Tom thought he didn't get to meet the president because like 15 years ago he got a DUI when he was in college, and he thought that the General Security Council saw that and barred him from meeting the president. That's not the case, Tom. But anyways, yeah, we've been super lucky to be involved. In 2008, we were big Obama supporters and did some stuff, and they used some of our music in some of their campaigns things, and that led us to eventually meet the president. And it was amazing. I called him Mr. Plesident. I was so nervous, and yeah, and then a lot of that ends up in the movie. So. We've had a really weird, strange couple of years and very lucky years as a band that we've been able to do all these amazing things.
You met the president twice.
I know. I'll get you there one of these days.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, our band has been lucky, and recently we just got to do. We met Werner Herzog, and he ends up in the movie in a funny way, and all this kind of stuff, and. So yeah, I mean the side effects of having a band have been like these great crazy dreams come true and stuff, and yeah, now Tom is meeting all these people. Tom met like Liza Minnelli because of his movie, and Robert De Niro and all these people. And who else have you met recently?
I met Paul Verhoeven from Tribeca. He's my idol, and I got to meet him. That's all I really care about. Is the director of the original RoboCop. So
anyway, thank you guys so much. Yeah.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. It was very much fun, and there's some stuff in it that was pretty embarrassing, but I'm glad it's over.
Great endorsement. You'll be glad it's over.
The whole tour. I love the movie.
Okay. Matt, what about you?
I'm really happy with the thing. I'm really proud of Tom and yeah, I mean it was not a movie that we thought there would be a movie like this about our band, and it's not exactly about our band, which I think is everybody in the band is kind of happy about that. I mean, not directly, but indirectly, I think it's the right movie for us, and I think it turned into something more interesting than a band movie, and I think that's kind of what, if there was going to be something, we wanted it to be something like that, and so we were worried about what Tom was doing, especially after we knew all the stuff that he was around for, and just the unflattering stuff. But when the movie started to become, we heard that Tom was becoming more the central part of the movie. I think that's when we really
boost my reel, but I was certainly not. The problem was I wasn't the documentarian to make a proper rock doc about about the National. I'm not even a real fan of the band, and but it's true. I mean, but in some ways that created the best story. You know, I really didn't. You know, I didn't really feel like any of their music was too precious to make fun of, or the band was too precious to make fun of. And also, and I knew that I first, for a long time, I thought I couldn't get fired because I was a brother of the lead singer, and I thought I was kind of, I had like a...
Untouchable.
Yeah, I was untouchable slightly, and I think I got away with that for 8 months. But then I eventually did get fired, and I realized you also agreed with the firing.
Yeah, you had to get fired. He was a terrible roadie. He was hired as assistant tour manager, and that's a really, really hard job. And he was not very good at that. You weren't. No, you weren't. You were but he had all this footage that he was also collecting while he was neglecting that job, which I encouraged him to bring the camera. But yes, I realized that it was going to be more interesting. So yeah.
I mean, it seems like the camera is on all the time. How much footage did you collect through those? You were on what, 8 months? 8 months tour?
Yeah, until I was fired. Yeah, I was on for
Right.
8 months, around 8.5 months, and I collected like almost close to 200 hours of footage. Like 50 hours of that was simply just concert footage. But one of the reasons why I was angry for getting fired, other than the fact that I didn't have a job again, that I had to face all this footage, all this nightmare of footage of the band, and I had no real story. I had no real, I didn't know what I was going to do with it. So I was frightened. I was scared. I was even scared to look at whatever I had.
I mean, I believe the original intention was he was going to come on tour, help out with roadie duties, assistant tour manager, and then bring the camera along and maybe shoot some footage for the National's website, maybe a little web short if it worked out. I mean, they got 200 hours. You don't need 200 hours, obviously, for a web short for the National's website. But in the end, it kind of was a nice little accident that he was always kind of obsessively filming, and some of the parts are really uncomfortable to watch, and he has the camera on, and it's, as a viewer, as a fan, as just someone interested in human beings, it's great.
Well, are you talking what's uncomfortable? The nudes and the naked drummer?
Naked drummers, sometimes are uncomfortable, but no, there's a scene where Matt comes off stage and he's very upset with the band's performance, and Tom is filming him about some things and asking him some things, and Matt doesn't want to. He's just really, this is his job. His job is to make us, just fall in love with his music on stage, and he didn't feel like he did a good job. And
That happens a lot, but
that was just one of the uncomfortable scenes. But I'm just like, don't stop rolling. But he's like, stop rolling the camera.
Well, I felt like, in a weird way, that like I wanted to use their fame to.
Please welcome this evening's guest moderator from Billboard and RollingStone.com, Mike Ayers, and tonight's guests, Tom Berninger and Matt Berninger.
Hi, welcome. This is Tom, Matt from the National. Thanks for coming out. I don't know if anybody has seen the film yet. It's out today on video on demand, iTunes, and in theaters. It's called Mistaken for Strangers, and it's really great. It's a really, really wonderful film, and it's nothing like any sort of band film you've really ever seen. I fell in love with it within the first 10 minutes of watching it and was really enthralled. So let's get into it. The film, besides me loving it, the film also has been getting really great reviews. But you all lived it. What goes through your mind when you watch back on it now?
Well, I honestly, I can't believe it's actually coming out today. Personally, I never thought the band would let me release it.
Neither did we.
And no, it's. I look back on it with some fond memories and some painful memories. Not everything